Hello, welcome to our live attorney chat. My name is attorney Desiree Coker-Gustafson, and if you are new to our firm, we regularly host these Facebook live chats just to give a little more information about certain parts of the immigration process and maybe even touch base on some new things and new avenues that are coming up. And so if you have comments, feel free to comment or questions, and I will try to get to those today. And if not, then you can always comment later. We do review those, and then hopefully we'll set another type of Facebook chat to deal with those questions if they're more in depth. So in these Facebook chats or our Facebook group, we handle clients throughout not only the US, but also the globe. And our staff as well is global and throughout the US. So we have lots of experience handling and navigating the US immigration process. And we really try to holistically serve our clients and assist in that manner to make sure that we take on the stress of navigating that process for them. So today I'd like to talk a little bit about what to expect at my consular interview. So for us, we solely deal with couples based immigration. So this is spousal visas and fiance visas, usually at a consular post. So the consular interview process that I'm going to discuss really is for those types of cases. The consulars can have interviews for all sorts of other visas and visa processes. And if you've been a frequent flyer at a consular post for visitor visas or J visas or student visas, they do have the ability to waive the consular interview. So just know that that's out there. But for our intensive purposes, with regard to spousal visas and fiance visas, you will likely have to attend an interview at the consulate. So in this process, we'll back up just a little bit. We've already submitted our petition with USCIS, and that petition has been approved. We've gone through the NVC phase of that processing, and that could be either submitting all of our documents via the CEAC website for the NVC, or just their application process if it's a fiance visa. And then that case file is then moved on to the consular post, where they will evaluate the case and then set it for an interview. Sometimes that interview is set by the NVC and the consular post. In the case of fiance visas, we set that via the US visa website. And some of those timelines are all different for all different consulates. So let's talk a little bit about the interview itself. So when you schedule your interview, you will have already completed a medical exam. You will have all of your documents in a row, and you're ready to arrive. You're going to arrive early for that interview process. And the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to see the clerk. And if you have not yet paid your visa fees, which in some cases you may not have, most cases the visa fees are paid before you can even schedule that interview, but sometimes not. And if there's, for some other reason, we're expediting or we're filing at a consular post individually, then you'll need to first pay those visa fees to that clerk. The clerk will go through your documents and see if you have everything that is needed. Everyone who is named on that interview notice will have to attend the interview. Sometimes children under the age of 14 do not have to attend. Again, this is something you would want to look on the consular's website, the consular post website, and find out for sure. Each consular post has, again, a different guideline as to what they expect. We certainly help people walk through and navigate all of that to ensure that you have the most accurate information up front. If, as in our case, we have a spouse or a US citizen fiance, a lot of times they want to travel to that country and be there for their spouse or fiance during their interview process. Many times they can attend the consular post, but they won't be able to go back for the interview. And honestly, that's kind of the similar process as to what happens here when you're filing for an adjustment of status. Many times they will separate the couple just to further evaluate the bona fides of that marriage. And we'll get there in a second. But once you get called back and you've satisfied everything for the clerk and you're getting called back for that interview, the first thing they will do is put you under oath. And that is just to be sure that you are stating that you are going to tell the truth and nothing but the truth. And of course, we advocate for that because there are ways for them to find out everything. So we want to deal with everything up front, and your legal team would assist with that. The officer will then review all of your documents. They will question you over your application. Many times they will actually ask the questions that you've already answered in your application. They'll go through all of those again, and they might even read them to you. So know that that is normal. They aren't necessarily calling you out or red flags or anything for that. Following that, they will move on to some eligibility questions. So for our purposes, because of the line of work that we do, helping couples navigate, these questions usually stem from the bona fides of marriage questions. Those can be very quick and they can be in depth. It really depends on the adjudicator that you get, the officer that you get. In some countries, I've had them ask 2 questions. And in other countries, I've had them really grill that person about dates of birth. How do you guys celebrate holidays? When was the last time you saw each other? What did you do when you were together? Did you go to dinner? What did you have for dinner? What about these pictures? This looks like a ceremony. What kind of ceremony was it? So all trying to establish that the marriage is based on love and not for immigration benefit, not to just be able to immigrate to the US. So they will go through those list of eligibility questions and then usually make a preliminary determination. So a lot of times they will tell our clients, because we walk through and make sure that all of the packet is ready. Our clients have a very specific list of things to do and to get and to bring, and we provide all of that for them. We've checked the consular post for what specific things that they want as far as documents, because honestly, each consular post is a little bit different. There are some guidelines of things that you definitely will need to bring, such as your DS confirmation letter, your approval letter for the I-129 or the I-130 or whatever the USCIS petition was, your passport. You will need an original passport, birth certificate, as well as a copy. So some of those things, the medical exam, those are pretty standard, but each consulate has usually some nuance. So we always make sure that we are very thoroughly looking over those documents, and we provide all of that to our clients for ease during their process. So once all of those things are gone through and the adjudicator makes a determination, yes, I am preliminarily approving this visa, then you would actually leave your passport at the consular post. They will put the visa in the passport itself. And then however you determined your documentation delivery, your document delivery on when you set your interview. So sometimes you can go pick it up. Other times it's delivered to you. And those things are, based on the preference usually of the client. So if the visa is issued and it's approved, then within a few days, you'll be able to start making travel plans and get that visa. Occasionally, there are a couple other processes that could happen. They might require an additional document. Say, for instance, your police clearance letter from another country that you lived for a year during college was not translated or something like that, and they need that follow-up. They will hold that process open generally for you to supply that documentation. So pay very good attention to what they tell you to do. And then other times a case can be submitted to what's called administrative processing. This is just like a second level of security type of clearance that some cases go through. And sometimes there's no real rhyme or reason as to why that would happen. There are certain red flags that might come up during a process or a review of an application. But in general, that there may not be a rhyme or reason. They just kind of pull every so many, just like going through TSA where you're pulled aside just by nature of number. And that can take up to 60 days to review. But hopefully then that would work out fine and it would eventually be approved and you will get that visa. And then you can start making travel plans to the US to be with your spouse or fiance. I hope that this video was helpful, a little bit about that consular interview process and what to expect. Certainly, if you are watching this on replay, like, comment, share. If you feel that others might find this valuable, we certainly make sure that we try to review those. And if there's any comments or questions, either make contact with that person via the comment feature or have another live video just like this because other people might need to know that as well. Thanks so much. Have a great day.